Merci. Good morning to everyone. My name is Gustav Csomor, the project officer of the Danube region program, responsible for most of the environmental specific objectives. I welcome you on today's webinar where we are going to present how you can use the Jems system, how you can prepare your expression of interest in the Jems and submit your application. Just to make clear that this webinar is mainly focusing on this technical aspect. Of course, in different parts of the UI, I will explain certain issues that you will have to consider when filling in the application. But the scope of the webinar is not going beyond that. So we are not going to touch thematic issues. We are not going to talk much about financial aspects of the application or projects. But of course, at the end of the event, there will be possibility to raise questions through the Slido. We received a couple of questions with your registrations, and I took some of those which makes sense to clarify in the beginning. That first of all, this Jems system is what is the Danube region program is using as a monitoring system, as well as where you can prepare your application. This system is developed by Interact and actually used, the core part of the system is used by many different Interact programs. So I assume that for some of you might already be familiar from maybe from the Central Europe program or from other Interact programs that you might have applied. At the same time, it's important to understand that although the basis of the system is the same, of course, each program has its own characteristics. Therefore, in case you might be familiar with the system of the Central Europe program, that is not necessarily exactly the same in case of the Danube region program. Differences are not necessarily big. Actually, I'm not familiar with the Central Europe program system, but you will see during the presentation what might be a difference at the end. For your information, this training is recorded, including also the questions and answers part. And then at some point soon, it will be also accessible through the program website. So of course you are here, so maybe for you it's not relevant anymore. It's for those who are not able to join today, there will be still the possibility to check the recordings. We also received questions on looking for searching tool for partners. Well, the Jems system is not meant to be that. And at the moment, regarding the Danube region program, the only way you can search partners is that LinkedIn site where you can try to find partners or projects that you are interested in, or in case you are looking for partners from certain specific countries, then we would advise you to contact your national contact point, and the contact points in the different partner states of the Danube region program are in connection with each other, and then they can also help in this. So then let's start introducing the system. After this short introduction, I will share my screen first. And as a very first point, I show you on the program website, because we also received some questions where the gems can be accessible. Soon we will ensure that, although there is a gem section, that's true that for the moment there is not a link, but right today we will manage this. At the moment, basically you have to go to the call page, where in the description of the call organized in 2 steps, there is a link, Program Monitoring System Gems, and if you click on that, this will lead you to the system. So the first step is reached. Now you found the link, and the next step for those who did not do anything so far in Jems, the next step is to register in the system. For this, in this panel, there is a button, Create a New Account. Clicking on that, you have to fill in the different parts, obviously, the name, email address, and the password. A password shall have 10 characters, 1 capital, at least one capital, at least 1 regular size character, and 1 digit, summing up to 10 characters. Then clicking on the that you agree to the terms and policies, and then the register button will be active, and you shall click on that. After that, you on the email you inserted into the registration field, on that email you are going to receive feedback from the system, which you shall confirm, and by that confirmation, clicking on a confirmation button, you will be able to, then your registration will be completed. Please check, in case you might not receive this confirmation email, please check your spam folder in your email account. It might end up there. Or in case for long you don't receive, then please contact the help desk, which you can find the contact in the upper right corner of this front page of the Gen system. There is this question mark symbol. You click on it, and here you read contact us, Gems help desk at Interreg-Danube-EU. So then send an email to this email address, and we will check and manage your problem. But in most cases, that is usually not the case, not a problem. That's how you can enter. And now, leaving the live system, I will turn to our test system, through which I will show you how the expression of interest is to be filled in. With your new password and your email, you can log in, almost. Now let's start once again. Yes. And then you land on the dashboard of your page within the system. Of course, mine is full, but yours will be empty. And there you can start your application. So basically what you are going to see is one single line that just a second. As I heard, then you are not able to see my shared screen.
Good morning. My name is Simona Enem. My colleague Gustav had internet problem, but he will connect. He's connecting now, so we are sorry.
So here I am back again. Sorry for this technical problem. I would need a quick feedback if my shared screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
Great. So I apologize once again. So where I was lost, it was the application. So when you open up your Jems, in Jems your account, what you will see a single line with the first call, and there you shall click on the apply button. And clicking on the apply button, you will see the general characteristics of the call, when it is starting, when the submission is finished or ended. And at the bottom of this page, you will see a button apply, and clicking on that will lead you to that page where then you will be able to create your project. Here on this page, basically, you see that here you add the acronym of your project, and at the end of almost each field, there is usually this kind of info button. If you bring your mouse there or marker there, then a cursor there, then you can see what is expected to be done here. So that's the first page, but now I will turn to another one which I already prepared as to start with and go through the different parts. So when you create the project, you give the acronym. At the first point, you will end up on this page, which is the project overview. Here you will see that this is the step 1, and it's the drafting phase. The project will receive a project ID automatically by the system, and here again you see the deadlines. This deadline, of course, is 21st. Now it's in the test system. Maybe the first step that is recommended to be done after creating the project is to, in case it's not only you, but maybe there are more persons who would work on the application, to add additional users. Of course, for each of these users, the very first step to register them in the system, confirming that email, and once they are included in the system, all what you will have to do is going to on the left menu side, which basically is listing the different parts of the application or the UI. On the very bottom, you see the project privileges button. Clicking on this, you end up on this page where you already see, you will see your email address and your access right, which in your case is to manage. With this plus button, clicking the plus button, a new field appears. Here you just simply enter the email address of the other colleagues or other partners who would also work on the project application, and you can select what type of privilege you will provide for that person. The view, of course, means that only they can have a view on what's going on in the application, what is inserted, how it stands. The edit right means that the person can work on different fields, so filling in some parts, changing some parts, and so on. While in case you want to give a right to another person to be able to submit the application, then you shall choose the manage button. If you might, it turn out that at some point a certain user is not anymore working on the application, then you, with this trash bin button, which actually you will see in many other parts of the application in the system. With this, you can simply delete the respective field. What we would strongly recommend you that although it's possible to work parallel on the application by different users, in order not to get into a situation that by parallel description you might lose data, a strong coordination is needed in between those persons working on the application to make sure that no data is lost this way, because I have to emphasize that for any of such reason, in case a submitted application might miss certain data, certain descriptions that you intended to insert there, but due to parallel work at the end were not saved properly, we cannot take responsibility. It's all the responsibility of the application applying team, so to say. Another important point is, now I just put there something randomly with a view right. So if you enter the field, the email address, then the Save Changes button becomes active. And it's very important because that's actually the feature of each page within the system. Once you enter some data into a certain page, then the Save Changes button gets activated. And in each case, you shall click this button. Otherwise, when you try to leave the page, the data you entered but not saved will be lost. In case there is some mistake, for example, here the system recognizes that this is not a correct email address, then you might get an error message that input data are not valid. This does not relate to each single field, but the system recognizes if not in a certain field where an email is expected, not that is entered. Good. Then, so this is the way how you can add more users, and please make a careful selection what sort of rights you give the different users to how they are able to work on the application. Then let's get back to the if you try to leave without saving the data, if you try to leave the page, then this question panel shows up if you are really want to leave the page without saving the data. Now I do, so I click on the confirmation and back on the project overview page. Regarding the application itself, the first part to be filled in is the project identification. With the creation of the project, you already you already inserted the project acronym. Here on this page, you have to describe the project title and the project duration. The project duration, if you read the applicant's manual, you must be aware of that it can be maximum 30 months. So that's what you shall insert here, 30 months. And then the system is recognizing, because of the core settings, there are 6-month periods in the implementation duration, and then it creates 5 periods accordingly. It's also an important feature that whenever you see these red stars, those fields are compulsory to be filled in. Otherwise, you will not be able to go further on with this. So, for example, if I put some, next point is the project summary. Here, there is the instruction described what exactly you are expected to explain in this summary of the project proposal. Regarding the guiding text, don't be scared that there are different instructions appearing. What is relevant for you is the one which says in case of the first call for proposals. This is a sort of unfortunate feature of this system that on the core system, we are not able to create different templates for the different type of calls managed by the program. Therefore, for certain fields, unfortunately, the only solution we had to give instructions for the same field by the same text and trying to differentiate. So please always look for this explanation that in case of the first call for proposal, and then it's followed by what exactly you are expected to do in the respective field. So here you can describe the summary, and another feature that if you enter a certain field, like here the summary, at the bottom of the field, you will see how many characters are available. So for example, here is 2000. And when you start writing, then it counts how many you have used out of the available. In case of almost each fields or each field description fields, there is this character counting. So you will, on the one hand, you will see how many is available, as well as when you are inserting your descriptions, you will see how much more is left available for you. Now, let's say the page is not full, complete. You see that the Save Changes button is still not active because here is this compulsory field for selecting the program priority that your project is intended to address. This is a drop-down list out of which you can select the respective relevant program priority. And once that is selected, then another field appears with all available specific program-specific objectives within this priority. Let's select then this specific objective, and now this page is complete with data, especially with the compulsory data, and now the Save Changes button is active, and we can go further on. The next page. So between the different parts, as I said already, between the different parts of the application, you can move on the left menu side. There you see the different titles of the different sections. And the next part is the partners overview. This is the page where you can add the project partners. Clicking on the Add New Project Partner, and then the very first and compulsory step is to select the role of the partner. Obviously, you will start with the lead partner, and then you give an abbreviated name. You shall give an abbreviated name for the given partner, a short title, as well, which is compulsory. And then there are also further fields where you shall give the original, the name of the partner in original, in English name or English language. And there is another section in case the respective partner organization is a big entity and it has different departments, and it's relevant to indicate which department or unit of the respective organization is the applicant, is the proposed project partner. Then also please enter this. Otherwise, I would recommend to leave it empty, because later on I will tell you what is the relevance. So this field to be filled in only in case that is relevant. Then some further informations are expected on the partner, for example, type of partner, and there is a drop-down list of different options. And at the very end, there is also an option. If you, out of these plenty of type of partners, you don't find an appropriate one, then there is still an option to click on the other and go further on. The next compulsory question is the legal status of the respective partner. Let's say this is a public organization. And then the tax number, VAT tax number of the respective organization is expected, and the question whether the organization is entitled to recover the VAT based on the national legislation. So this you have to clarify with all of your project partners. Let's say I click yes, and then I create this partner. Once the partner is created by that create button, Then additional tabs appear for the respective partner. The next point is the contact details of this or the address of the given partner. Here, basically, you have to select the country. Now I show you the. It seems better to than Austria. Yeah, because it's you shall look for the name of the country in its own language. So I also made this mistake looking for Austria as Austria, but in fact that is like this. So be familiar with the country names on their original language and find the country accordingly. When you insert the country, then additional fields appear, like the NUTS2 level. Let's put this lead partner to Vienna. Let's locate it to Vienna. And then once you select the NUTS2, then the NUTS3 level is to be selected. So for each of your partner, you will have to find all these data that is necessary to be given. Then comes the address and so on, home page. And here comes that point which I related to a page before. So in case you you enter something in that field, department, unit, division on the partner definition page, then the system will check if you also give address for this, in detail the address for this partner, even if it might be the same as of the main organization. But in case you don't enter anything in that field, then obviously the system will allow you not to fill in this. And of course, once you finish entering this data, you don't just simply jump to the next page, because here comes the question whether you want to lose this data, but always click the Save Changes. The next tab is about the contact details. There you have to enter the name of the legal representative, as well as the name and the contact details of the contact person, like email address, telephone number, and so on. Once this is filled in, and saved, then you can go to the next point, which is the budget. Now it's you might have realized, or in the applicant's manual, it's also explained that at least for those who were familiar with the previous program periods with Interreg projects, here the structure of the budget is somewhat different. There is no more division along the different work packages. In fact, in the Danube region program, there are no work packages anymore. So the budget is basically structured along the different cost categories, as well as, of course, the partners. And then I will show you further on along the periods. But here, what you are expected to do is, for the moment, basically only because in the EOI, all what we ask you is to give a single total amount for the respective partner. So no need to break down the budget at this stage along cost categories or periods, but only to enter a single amount for this given partner. And for this, please add this amount to the external expertise and services cost category line by clicking on the Add button. And there you, although it's broken down to already those 5 periods, this appears, these different periods appear only if on the project identification page, if you remember, there you are expected to enter the project duration, the 30 months, then the system is automatically calculating that based on a 6-month period, how many periods will be within the project duration, and then accordingly the budget is structured along this. For the EOI, only what you have to do is to give the total amount of the budget for this partner. Let's make it for 120,000 euro. So first you enter here to the total amount of cost category. And then there is another step which you still have to make. Also, only for period 1, enter the same amount. And then it's okay. If you might change your mind, then you can also delete with the delete button, or in case by mistake this amount is not matching with the one you enter into the period 1 side, at the right end of this table, there you see a column titled Gap, which indicates if there might be any differences. Of course, when you are filling in now the EOI, this is not an issue, so most probably you will not make a mistake. Later on, for those who will be invited over for the second phase and who will have to fill in a full application, this can help when entering the different cost category allocations along the different periods, that the system is indicating if that is correct or not. Let's make it correct then. Then the gap is 0, and then everything is fine. That's all what in the OI you have to do in the budget. So select the partner. Now there is only one partner, but here basically all partners would be listed. Selecting the partner, going down to the external expertise and services budget cost category, clicking on the Add button, and then filling these 2 data. That's all. And of course, click on the Save Changes button. And then there is the last tab, the last section for the partner is the co-financing. Here, one composite element, although there is a single option that the support the project might receive is coming from Interreg funds. This is to be selected, otherwise you will not be able to leave this page. And then the next point is to select what type of own contribution the project partner will have. So there are, by default, there are 2 options. It can be either public or private. This is quite simple. But you might be aware of that there is also a third type of allocation, insert own contribution. In certain countries like Romania, Hungary, and some others, there are so-called state what we call in the program state contributions, which either automatically provided by the respective partner country, partner state, to those project partners being part of a project. So then, instead of selecting these options, you have to click on the Add New Contribution Origin. Although this is not the case for an Austrian partner, but please don't consider this relevant. And here first, you have to enter the name of the contributor institution, which the partner have to check out in the respective country. Let's say put a ministry, simply just to have some solution there, and then select out of the type of out of the list. Now there is also the option state contribution. If this is not relevant because the partner, for example, an Austrian partner, can receive have only public or private, depending on their type of organization. Let's say it's a public source, and then here basically the 20% of the contribution of the respective budget shall be entered. This is also, there is also a helping tool in this. If you scroll a bit above, if you remember, we entered 120,000 euro total budget for the lead partner. This will mean that 96,000 euro Interreg funds contribution will part of this budget, and 24,000 shall be the partner contribution, which comes from public resources. And here, basically, you just have to enter this amount, and then that's okay. There can be in certain countries, like for example in Romania, there are also such solutions that this 20% is not fully provided by state contribution, but part of it can be provided by through the state contribution, and the rest shall be covered by the partner itself. Then comes this step to add the new contribution, add the source, and selecting that state. And of course, there is a rule, regulation, how this is shared. So how the 24,000 euro is shared, that maybe 10% comes from the state and 5% comes from the shall be provided by the partner. And then of course, then you have to, now I just make up something easy. This is also an option in case of certain partners, that actually the own contribution is shared between different sources. This shall be fixed. And of course, now the budget is fine, correct. And then you can click on the save button, and now this budget is saved. Besides the, let's go back to the partners overview. Now you see that there is the lead partner, as well as the role and where it comes from and what is its budget. Now we enter another partner, just briefly adding and just the necessary points I create. And here now you see in the partners list, now there are two. Let's go further on. Besides the financing partners, most probably you know that there is also a possibility to involve in the partnership as you call associated strategic partners. These are such partners which doesn't have own budget, but their participation has certain relevance. And this means that out of the one of the financing partners is providing or covering the travel and accommodation cost of these associated strategic partners. So how to create such partner? Click on the new associated strategic partner button, select the name. Yeah, okay, let's make something there. And another compulsory field is that out of the financing partners, here you have to indicate which is that partner which is going to finance the travel and accommodation costs of this partner. Let's make it the lead partner, and then all those usual fields are there, country, addresses, and so on, the NUTS level. I don't enter it now, including the contact persons. And at the very bottom of this field, because I make it slow not to make you dizzy. So as you see, for that type of partner, there is no additional tab, but just one field to be filled in. but it's very important that at the bottom of the field, there is a field where you shall describe what is the role of this ASP. And then, okay, something. And now the associated strategic partner is created. And if we go to that list, now here we have this ASP sponsored by the lead partner. Let's move on. The next main section of the project is, and the application is the project description. At the very beginning, you shall define the project overall objective. Here you see the program specific objective to which the project is supposed to contribute. And here you shall define the main project objectives. Today afternoon, there will be another webinar on the intervention logic, where all these terminologies of the main objectives, specific objectives, outputs, and so on will be explained in detail. So I would not touch this much. This is just to show you where this main objective is to be entered. The next session is about the project relevance and context. Here, once again, you will meet some guiding instructions relating to different calls of the program. Once again, with the one indicating obviously the first call for proposals. This is the one which you shall follow and describe. But of course, in the guidance for filling in the UI, each of these informations are actually detailed. So that is also strongly recommended to follow when you are filling in your application. In the field, you see how many characters are available, and then there you can describe. Another feature of this page is that if you might have a look, the numbering of the different parts are not consecutive. The reason is because, in fact, this is based on the full application, but the UI is simplified, and the system is not changing the numbering of the different fields. It keeps the same field numbering for all sections relevant in the given part. But in case of the EOI, not all of those sections are relevant. Therefore, you see only some of those which keep their original numbering. So don't get panicked that the numbering is not correct and there must be something wrong. No, there is nothing wrong. This is how the system works. So you just, all what you see that is relevant for you, nothing more. And all what you have to do here is reading the guiding question in relation to the first call for proposals and give the explanation about the territorial needs and challenges, about the transnational cooperation need in relation to the challenges, and about the target group of the project. And to be able to define the target groups, you have to click on this plus button, and there new fields appear, target groups and specification. Here you can select the respective target group that you target, that you intend to address by your project as a beneficiary or a stakeholder or a key actor, group of key actors, and then out of the list you select. And here you are expected to detail what kind of, exactly what national public authorities you have in mind, ministries or certain whatever sectoral agencies here we expect quite concrete explanations and not general, and some sort of indication of the number of that type of target groups. Obviously, there is not only one target group that a project shall address, and all these you can define by clicking as many times as many different target groups you have. Of course, you don't have to select all, but just only those which are relevant in case. And in fact, that is also part of the project assessment, how well and how reasonable the selection of the target groups and how well it is defined, which entities are those different type of target groups, as well as how they are involved in the project implementation and how they will benefit from the project outputs. Now, just to be able to proceed, I put some data there. Yeah, okay, I also put something here, and then save the page, and then we can move on to the next part, which is the project partnership on the left menu side. Here, basically, a concise description of the project partnership is expected, why these partners are needed, and what is the contribution of the different partners, and basically that is to be summarized. The next quite big section is the work plan. The work plan is quite different compared to the previous program period. In the Danube region program, there are not any more work packages, but the work plan to be structured along the different specific objectives the project is defining in connection to the main project objective, as well as in connection to the respective program specific objective. With this button add, you can add a new specific objective, and there you will see number 1. Clicking on that, you enter the respective specific objective, and there you shall define the title or define the specific objective in brief. So please try to find a concrete but a reasonable specific objective. Once again, the afternoon session will help you in this respect. And then after defining the specific object, describing the specific objective, here is another field where you can elaborate more in detail what actually this project objective means, and then what will come at the end, what will be the effect of the project. Another important feature, beyond that there are no work packages but specific objectives, that in the work plan there is no more section devoted to neither to project management nor to communication. So these information, project management related informations, are to be described in another part of the project, but not to be detailed in the work plan. So please don't describe project steering committee meetings or different progress reports and so on. These are not necessary. And regarding the communication, which is also not expected to be a separate part in the work plan, rather more we expect to describe the communication activities in connection to the different specific objectives. So here, in case of each defined specific objective, please define communication objectives by which way the partnership communication will contribute to the achievement of the respective project-specific objective. And so here you define the communication objective, and then in another part, in the details, there you will have to explain, describe the related communication activities in the activities section. But first, there is another section devoted to investments. Please read carefully how and in what case investments can be eligible in the program, because that is not really supported. That's not the scope of the program to finance investments. So investments are accepted only in such cases when, first of all, it shall be small scale, but at the same time also have transnational characteristics. So please read in detail the respective part of the applicant's manual and then the eligibility, financial eligibility rules. Here now I'm just presenting you how this field is to be filled in case relevant. Just like on previous pages, there is the add button, and then you have to define the title of the investment. You have to justify what is the relevance and need for this investment, and a very important aspect, what is the transnational relevance of this investment. In the EOI, in case there is a plan for investment, only these three questions are raised. If the project goes further on to the second step, there will be plenty more questions in connection to the investment. Let's create one just for the case. And the main section comes with the activities of the work plan. Here, along the defined specific objective, all those activities are to be described, by which the partnership intends to reach the respective project-specific objective. And you can create with the add button the additional activities where you have to define the title, when, so in which period it is planned to start, and in which period it is planned to be completed. And of course, we expect a description of the activity. There is not much room for this, so please be economic. We hope that for the main, so for the second step with the Interact developers, we can reach that point that the character limits can be extended. For the moment, unfortunately, we are not able. But within 1,000 characters, you might be able to define the activities. Here, what we expect is, first of all, to put as a very beginning the amount, so the budget allocation, the overall, so not broken down to partners and so on. So the budget of the respective project activity. So while in the budget of the EOI, we request only total amounts on project partner level, nonetheless, obviously those single amounts are expected to be based on appropriate calculations, and accordingly in connection to the different activities, we expect to indicate the total activity amount in case of each activity. So please start the description with that single amount, and then explain what activities are to be carried out, by which partners, who is responsible for what, and if relevant, then of course the geographic location. Adding further activities, the same is to be done. in the EOI, there are no deliverables. The deliverables are connected to the different activities, and actually each activity is expected to have a certain deliverable, but that will be asked only in the second step phase. So in the EOI, there you don't have to define, but only the respective activities. There is no limit for the number of activities that you can create, but it shall be reasonable and not going too far with the numbers. It shall be coherent and in line with the respective specific objective. And as I said, please also integrate the communication related activities. So if, I don't know, a certain conference or a certain seminar, whatever is planned by, or certain communication activities planned by the partnership, integrate into the respective specific objective where it fits the best, and describe it there. Yeah. Okay. There. And we save. So we have in the first specific objective 2 activities. By clicking on the Add button, going back to the project work plan, clicking on the Add button, you can add further specific objectives. Of course, when you go through the same process, title, description of the specific objective and communication object-related communication objectives, adding activities, and the same goes on. And in connection to each specific objective, I did not show that in case of the first one, but in case of each, once you create an objective, there is also an option to add an output. The outputs are those key products of the project you implement, which are the key elements, the key products what you create at the end. What is important that these products of the project shall also be connected to the project output indicators. Now again, I will not go into details regarding the different output indicators. This will be done thoroughly in the afternoon webinar. Here I once again only about the technicalities. Regarding an output, you have to define the title and then select the respective output indicator. Let's say jointly developed solutions, and define the target value, the delivery period, and explain in detail what this output is about and what is the relevance. It's important, but this will be also obviously mentioned in the afternoon session. It's an eligibility criteria that each project has to select or has to have outputs which are linked to at least 2 program output indicators, and one of the compulsory output indicator is the organizations cooperating across borders. So this in one, at least in one of the specific objectives, this output shall, there shall be such an output which contributes and which is linked to this program output indicator. And on, in addition to this, at least another one more output shall be in the project. but be careful because the definition of the different output indicators, what can be counted as an linked to a certain output indicator, that's not necessarily so simple. So again, I would recommend to follow the afternoon session, as well as in the applicant's manual. The output and results indicators are explained in very details at the very end of the manual. There is a section called Annex, where for each indicator there you can find explanation. Let's save this output, and now we have two work package specific objectives. I'm sorry, I also keep relate back to old terminology. The next session is the project results. This is also something different compared to the previous program period. Project results are expected to be connected to the project outputs. So in case you select a certain type of project output indicator, a program output indicator, in the intervention logic of the program, in the applicant's manual, it is explained to which output indicator, which program result indicator is connected. And in case, so let's get back to that. Here we selected the organizations cooperating across border, this output. Maybe let's add another one. Strategic action plans jointly developed, save it. And so going to the results, here you can add the results, project results. And here again, the first step is to select the respective program result indicator. So we, as outputs, defined organizations cooperating, as well as joint strategy action plans taken up to be developed. Then the respective result indicator, the joint strategy and action plans to be taken up, is selected, and then indicating the target value and explain how that is done. And in connection to the other output, the further result is to be connected. We save the changes, and that's done with the result. So basically selecting the result indicator, then you shall explain how actually, what actually the concrete result in connection to this will be of the project and how that will be achieved. The next section within this EOI is the time plan. Here you don't have to do anything. It's basically the system generates this Gantt chart based on the work plan. As you can see, it lists the different specific objectives, the different activities, and then the timing of the different activities and the outputs. So here it is just an overview. The next section, which is to be filled in, is the project management. Here again, not all fields are available, but only 2 for the moment. That's why the starting numbering of the starts with 7.5. There are 2 sections to be filled in. One is related to the cooperation criteria that relates to the project. This comes from an EU regulation, and it is compulsory to be given. That's why it is already part of the EOI. Here, basically, and this is also an eligibility criteria, you shall select minimum 3 criteria. Actually, we recommend to select all. And what is also important that, so 3 is the minimum to be selected, but the first 2, the joint development and then the joint implementation, these 2 are compulsory to be selected. But once again, what we recommend simply to select all 4, and then very, very briefly just explain how the different cooperation criteria are to be fulfilled by the project and project partnership. Another point in this section is the horizontal principles. Here there are 3 different points. One is the sustainable development. Another one is the EU Charter of Fundamental Rights, gender equality and non-discrimination. In the applicant's manual, there is a section that explains in detail, and please read carefully what actually is to be presented there, what is to be described in the different fields. So, of course, first you have to select out of the 3 options how your project is related to the respective horizontal principle, whether it would have a positive effect, a neutral or negative effects. Negative effects, of course, not really expected. And then explain in detail. Please don't be too general and don't put commonalities here, but be project specific regarding the respective horizontal principle. And as a third point is related to the strategic environmental assessment, in case that would be applicable in connection to the project. Once again, what is to be explained here is thoroughly detailed in the respective section of the applicant's manual. So let's say we select the different effects. Of course, in case of the strategic environmental assessment, it's not really an effect, but whether it is relevant or not, you select whichever option here, but please select something and then enter here and explain if it's relevant and in which way and how it will be considered, or in case not, then just explain that. And then we save the changes. So we selected the different cooperation criteria. We explained those, and let's go further on. The next main part is basically the summary of the project budget. Now, this will be not very much nice, since I filled in only data for one partner, but basically one overview is related to the funding sources along the different project partners. There is another summary, financial summary table that is indicating the different cost categories. Again, this is not really relevant in the first step phase, since all amounts are expected to be listed in the external expertise services column. And then there is the overview budget, from another perspective along the different periods and broken down. But here again, in this part, in this section, you don't have to do anything. It's just an overview table. There is one point which is also relevant, the project lump sum. Here, in case the project intends to apply for preparation funding, which is in the program is a lump sum, it's a single 18,500 euro that can be applied for. Then click on the add button. This is eligible only in case the partnership did not receive from any other EU funds or other national funding financial support to prepare the respective project. So double financing is to be avoided, but in case the partnership is eligible for this preparation fund, then this is where you have to indicate. So opening up, clicking on that project lump sum, you get to this page where here in this table, there you see this red star, and out of the drop-down list, there is only one option coming up, the preparation cost. Click on it to select and activate. The period shall be period 1. And as you see, the system automatically indicates that this comes in the amount eligible. Save this page as well, or save the data you entered on this page, and basically that is done. There are further sections in the application. In the EOI, so in the first step phase, the annexes section is not relevant because you don't expect it, so the lead applicant is not expected to include any annexes, any supporting documents, but just to fill in properly the EOI. There is another point, the export page, where basically at any phase you can generate the application. The application form is generated in a PDF format by first selecting whether you want to generate the application form or the partner budget, and clicking on the export button, then it generates the PDF file, and you can download it. Or in case you want to have the partner budget, then it will be a Microsoft Excel table. Unfortunately, not very nice, but that comes with the system development, so that's what you can live with. And clicking on the export button, you can get the respective label once again at any phase. So if you are in a preparatory phase and you would like to have an overview, you just simply generate these documents, and then you see how it looks like and what is there. There is one other feature, an important one, the check and submit section. When you prepare the application, at the moment, at the draft stage, there is only one button available, run pre-submission check. This, then you initiate a check to be made by the system. To be understood, clearly, this does not check all details. There are some built-in features which fields are checked, whether there is anything indicated or not, whether a certain field is filled in or not, and basically then clicking on this button, there you will see the results. So for example, the project identification part I filled in correctly, but in the project, for example, in the project partners section, there are some issues. Clicking on the red button and the exclamation mark, it opens up and shows you further details where actually the concrete problems are. And with the different parts, it might go further on. So for example, in the partner identity part, if I click on, in case of the lead partner, there are some missing data, so I did not fill in certain fields. And in case of partner 2, there are also many other. This stands for the partner address, partner contact. So clicking on the different buttons, you can see which fields you might have forgotten to fill in, which fields you have to deal with. And checking all these and completing all these missing data, you will get to the end. Now I cannot show you this on this page because that would take another 5-10 minutes until I put all fields some character. But at the end, what matters is to have for each section this green button with a tick in it, showing that from this check point of view, the application is ready. That does not necessarily mean that everything is perfect, but at least the respective fields are filled in. Once you will get this green button, then now it's not much visible, but here is another button, Submit Project Application. This will be active. Then it will look like just like this press submission check button, dark green and so on. And by clicking on it, then you will be able to submit the application. We strongly recommend not to leave it to the very last moment, especially that there might be fields that by mistake you don't fill it in. So it might be, it can be recommended to run this check regularly to see which fields are not filled in. Although that's only just from a formal point of view. Of course, what really matters at the end is the content, but in case you might not fill in some fields, then technically you will not be able to submit the project. So that's why it's also relevant that also from this point of view, the expression of interest is complete. That's it for the moment. Basically, how, what kind of fields, how you shall fill in, and how you are able to submit the application. And basically, I mainly reached the end of my presentation. Maybe I would mention one thing, because we were asked about it, whether we have some templates in Word or Excel format which is identical with the EOI. Before the Jems was launched, there was, those templates were not, at the end, were not fully matching the EOI, so that's why we took it off from the program website. We plan to provide a Word sheet for the content part. On the other hand, for the budget, at this stage, we don't consider it relevant, since basically for the moment, all data you would need to provide is a single project partner total budget per each project partner. True that in the work plan along the different activities, we also ask indicative activity allocations. But for this, there will be no Excel template as a sort of helping tool. Obviously, that Word template will also be only a helping tool, because applications we accept only submitted through this system. Yeah, that's it from my side regarding the EMS and the Jems, filling in the Jems. And now I come back and I try to turn on the camera. And now it's time for the questions, if there are some.
Yes, there are quite some questions. There is a question about the Word document of the application form, but you already answered to that. We will publish on the website. Then there is a question, if I understand correctly, these forms will be filled only by main applicant.
Yeah, so we recommend that the lead applicant and the project manager of the lead applicant is coordinating this. The simplest way, obviously, is that there is a single person managing the entering of project data in the EOI, in the Jems. But as I presented you in the very beginning, there is also an option that multiple users are working on it. It's basically up to the project partnership and up to the lead applicant how they manage, but at the same time I also emphasize this, that this is strictly the responsibility of the partnership and the lead applicant. So if due to the parallel working, which technically is possible, due to the parallel working, a data might be lost from the submitted project, we cannot take responsibility for that, and we cannot do anything. One thing not related to this question, but in general, I would add to that as we experience, many applicants started kind of exploring the Jems, creating plenty of test projects. The thing is that you are not able to delete those. So maybe I would kindly ask that if you start testing, then you do it already in your own project. The content you will be able to modify until the submission, basically. So because then the system is getting filled with plenty of test applications without content. And yeah, at the end, what I wanted to emphasize, that in case you create a project, you submit, and then you realize that, oops, something is missing, then you will need to create a complete new application. So there is no way to ask back the application for correction. The only way is to create another one under the same title and so on. And at the end, if we see in the system that there are more than one applications with the same title and more or less the same content, only the very last, the latest submitted version will be considered for assessment, and all others will not. Yeah, that's just beyond the question. The next question.
The next question is, should we include the preparation costs also in the EOI? The period of preparation costs isn't the preparation period?
The period relates, yes, please enter already in the EOI, and the period does not relate to when it is done, because as I said, it's a lump sum. So it's not something that you have that the applicant have to explain what has been done under the as preparatory task. It's a lump sum. It's a single amount that is kind of automatically given to the project. Technically, it will be done so that in case a project indicated that option in the budget and it's approved, then this 18,500 euro will be transferred with the first progress report of the project. So it will not come automatically right from the project starting date, but after the first 6 month period is passed, then the lead applicant, the project partners will have to prepare their partner report, based on which then the project progress report is prepared by the lead partner and submitted in the system with the cost of the first period. And to this report will be connected this preparation cost, and that 18,500 actually the respective Interreg 80% contribution will be transferred together with the transfer of the first project validated costs in the first project progress report.
The next question is full application available?
In Jems, not, and for the moment, it's also not available on our program website.
Following question. So there is a request to display Slido on the screen, but everyone has Slido already embedded in the WebEx, and you can open there to follow the questions. The following question is if it is possible to download the application in order to fill it in offline and then to fill it in online.
This way not, because as I showed you in the when showing the different characteristics and features of the Jems, I mentioned that the content part of the application can be generated in PDF form, so you can have a view what is there, but since it's a PDF file, you won't be able to work on it. That's why I mentioned that we plan to provide a Word template as a helping tool. This will be available on a program website in the call part, the first call page, and that can help you in that way, as far as I understand what you meant by your question. So for viewing, you can download from the system, but you cannot work on it. If your intention is to work not directly in the system, but first in a document, then there will be this Word, Microsoft Word template soon available.
Is it going to be possible to change the acronym? No, someone took out the question. If it's possible to change the acronym after the number is generated by Jems. And I already posted that yes, it's possible to change the acronym until the submission of the project. Then another question, how can we check the state contribution? In which countries does it apply?
On the one hand, there is I need the help of my colleagues, whether it's already available on the program website.
Yes.
There will be...
Yes, it is available on the program website, the document referring to the co-financing systems. It's in the section how to apply. I will share the link here in the Slido.
And besides this document, also the project respective partner in their own country can turn to the national contact point to ask for further details, although basically that is everything is detailed. So these are the two ways to check this document that is listing all partner state countries, as well as partners can turn to their national contact points for details.
The next question, someone would like to know if the first step of the application will be submitted through Jems or in some other way. Obviously,
so it is explained in the applicant's manual. This is also one assessment criteria of eligibility, that only applications submitted through the Jems, the only way which will be accepted. So no other way of sending by email or whichever other way, those applications will not considered, but only what is submitted in time through the Jems for the respective code.
Then are there any restrictions in terms of number of proposals in which one organization can participate?
There is no restriction. What I usually mention or tell to this question, that from program side there is no restriction. On the other side, we strongly recommend to think over the capacities of the respective institution organization. in case all those applications you intend to be part of might be so good that approved by the program, make sure that your organization has sufficient human resources, technical, as well as especially financial capacities with cash flow to make sure that then you can really be partner and you can really participate in the project, in all those projects. So briefly, from our side, there is no restriction.
Then the following one, can you change, raise your budget after the first phase, as adding new project partner after the first phase is allowed?
Yes, there is no restriction on modifying the project budget in between the two steps. Especially if new partners are added, that obviously means that then those new partners need additional budget. But even on existing partner levels, reasonable adjustments can be also made.
Okay. Should we estimate the cost per partner and fill all into external expertise, or should we only fill in the external expertise line for now?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question.
So the question is if, no, I can answer since I read it.
Good, if you understand, then please.
So now we are requesting the total budget of the partner, and this total budget should be included in external expertise budget line. We are not requesting only the external expertise budget in the project. So you have to include the total estimated budget for each partner, for all budget lines, but everything is included in this external expertise, because now we are not interested to see very detailed, we are interested to see as an estimation.
And just to add to this, so I can understand that it might be confusing why on external expertise. Don't care about this. This is there is a certain reason why we want it there, but don't care about the labeling. All what matters that you put the respective amount into that section, and that's it. So it's not about external expertise. It's just consider it as a section where the data is expected.
Okay, the next question it's related to the project work plan and activity list. Have I understood correctly that we need to put the financial budget for each activity?
Yes, we ask for indicative budget on each activity. And please start the description of the activity with this financial data.
Then will this webinar be uploaded on the Interreg website, on the program website afterwards, so that we can share it? Yes.
Yes, it will be.
Then tell me why can't I see the blue part with my projects on my page in Jems?
I'm not sure that I understand which blue parts you meant. If you could be more specific, what do you understand under blue parts? Because on this, I'm unfortunately not able to give answer.
I guess maybe the person should go to dashboard, and there they can see in my applications, at least as an applicant user, I see like that my projects in the dashboard, and it's written my applications. Then I will proceed to the next one. If the person wants to explain better, actually, if they raise their hand, we can open their microphone, so it's not an issue. But I will go forward for now. Is it possible that one organization is lead partner in 2 different projects?
Yeah, it is possible.
Do the partner's budget and partner's external budget sum up it's not very.
I might consider this as a same
Yes.
confusion about the labeling. Again, forget the labeling of the cost category. That is just a field. We expect the total partner budget. Don't break it down to different cost categories in the EOI. Of course, for your calculation, this can be important and this shall be made. But in the EOI, we expect a single data which shall be the project partner's total budget and technically to be inserted to the external expertise cost category item randomly. So please, I would not like to again explain why this is a decision, and please follow this. That field is to be filled in by a single amount that shall be the project partner's total budget.
Okay. Is it limited who can be lead partner? Just a second. It disappeared.
Yeah, in the applicant's manual, there is a devoted session explaining about the lead partner principle and how that is going. Basically, so actually it's also a new feature of the new programming period that lead partners can, in previous program period, only partners from organizations coming from EU countries could be. Now this is lifted. Now, basically, from geographical term, from all Danube region program partner countries, entity can be a lead partner. In first call, from geographic point of view, the exception is Ukraine for the given circumstances, but Ukraine entities can still be project partners. And from another aspect, so from type of partnership partners, the exception relates to private enterprises. So private enterprises, on the one hand, cannot be lead partners. All other type of partners can, as well as partners from all 13 Danube region countries can be lead partners, except for partners coming from Ukraine.
Then the continuation of this question, because I found it, how much partners can we have? How many partners can be involved in a project?
Well, it depends on your project. There is no, how to say, a limit on this, but this is also an important aspect of project development, that you create a reasonable partnership. This depends on the topic you address, the geographic scope, where that challenge, that need that you address is relevant. So then we expect that you have project partners from all those countries, and then from the relevant thematic fields, that at the end gives a reasonable mix of competencies and expertise and the geographic coverage. And of course, it's also very important that the size of partnership is also such that is manageable by the lead partner. So this is also an important aspect to consider. But in general, there is no concrete limitation.
The following question, if there are specific communication activities that will have to be defined per each specific objective?
No, I think no.
No.
Yeah,
so the
good.
Communication activities should support the content of the project. So they have to be included in the work plan, but we do not have specific requirements. You have to include the price of the poster in the budget, which is mandatory according to the regulation.
Yep.
Okay. Then there is a question if the presentation can be sent by email. We will publish it on the website. We said it before.
This question has already been.
There is a question that I haven't received the confirmation of the next webinar on my email. how can I participate in the following one to build the intervention logic? We have sent the links to the email addresses included in the registration for the following webinar. If you need a link, please write us by email and we will provide you with the link to the following webinar on intervention logic.
Please send it to the main, the central email address of the MAJS.
Okay, the following one. It's about project lump sum. Could you specify the criteria? Who is eligible?
So you are talking about the preparation cost.
Yes.
From program point of view, it's a single amount that is transferred to the lead applicant, and from program point of view, from that moment that this amount is transferred to the lead applicant, we are not following, or we are not interested in what happens with this. It's basically up to the partnership what and how and if the lead applicant is then dividing and sharing it with the project partners. But there is no specific instruction and also no specific monitoring from program side on this.
Then there are two questions on what annexes should be uploaded. As we said before, there are no annexes to be uploaded in the first step. It's only this electronic submission of the EOI.
Annexes will come only in the second step phase.
Then there are several questions about partner search, if there are any events planned, and to give more information how to find and select a project partner.
For the moment, basically the options I already mentioned in the beginning of this webinar. Basically, there is this LinkedIn page of the program where which one can try using for this purpose, or in case you are looking for certain partners from certain countries, then you can turn to your national contact point of the program, and they will, through the network of the contact points of the Danube region program, they can try to find in the other countries potential partners in this for you.
Yes, now we are working, maybe we hope that by the end of this month we will have also a matchmaking platform which we will advertise, and of course it will be published on the website, so also there you will be able to find partners. The following question is, costs for ASPs are included in project partner own budget, or it will be separated?
No, it shall be part of calculated within the project partner who is going to sponsor that, who is going to finance the travel accommodation cost of the respective ASP. So when defining the total partner budget of such partners who plan to support ASPs, please calculate within that also the costs related to these ASPs.
The following question is, if the ultimate beneficiaries are young people, for instance, what do we select as target group?
Well, these type of target groups are defined, the different categories are defined along a common basis agreed in between the different Interact programs. In case your target group is so specific that is not fitting to any, then I think there is an option.
There is other, the option other.
Yeah.
And there also you have the possibility to specify in the other field your target group in more detail. Meaning to say,
so when you are in that target group section, there are these. No, I don't share my screen. So when you are in that section where you are expected to define the target groups, there is that drop-down list, and at the very bottom of this list, there is this option other, what was mentioned.
Then the following question, can two partners participate from the same country? Yes.
I would formulate it differently. There is no restriction on this, how many partners come from one country, but what is important at the same time, which I tried to explain before, that the partnership shall be reasonable. So on ensuring that partners' experiences, competencies, relevant competencies are there, including territorial as well as thematic competence, which might need that from one or from the different countries involved in the project, you might involve more than one partners. This is fine. But you should be also careful to ensure that these involvements are balanced. So it's not correct if from one country there are 3 partners or 4 partners, while from all other countries only 1. So it's also relevant to have a balanced partnership regarding the number of partners involved from a certain country as well as from a certain thematic field or with certain competencies.
Then is it possible to enter more than one department for one partner?
Not really. It's so one partner considered to be an entity with which has its own legal how is that called, legal entity. And if in case more departments from that same institutions are to be involved, then I would recommend to since there is only one option, I would recommend to indicate the one which is more dominant in this. Yeah, now I don't have any better idea.
For example, in the partner specification, you have department unit division. There, if you fit 250 characters as it is allocated, you can indicate if there are 2 departments participating. But
yes.
As a partner in a project, it is only 1 because there is only 1 legal entity, which we are checking actually. Yeah,
by description, this is possible, although when the contact details of the respective department is to be given, then there will be only 1 field. So if it happens that a certain department or the involved 2-3 departments have different locations, then it will be possible to indicate only for 1. But at least on the descriptive part, there is a way to indicate that maybe more than 1. And then with the address, then please keep to the one which has the core task in the project.
Then there is a question, does agency provide any part of the salary for its employees regarding the project, or you just provide 40% of the salary if that is the percentage of time used for project, I can imagine?
I would leave this question to other colleagues.
So basically, if one person is not working full time for the project, it should not reimburse the full salary for from the project. So this is the principle. But if a financial colleague is here and can provide more information. Yes. Now we have to let Mihailo talk. I think only the Danube email address can do that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. I agree with you, Simo, as you mentioned that they can actually, we can cover only that remaining percentage, let's say, because it as person asked, the only agency provide the part of the salary for its employees regarding the project, or just provide 40% percentage of the salary. Is the percentage of time used for
Project, I can imagine.
Project, yes. I mean, we can cover only that the fixed percentage.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
There is another question regarding the financial self-assessment of the lead partner. Is it determined which and how many previously closed financial years need to be included? This tool we have. We are not actually, as MHS, we are not checking. It is the responsibility of the lead partner and the partners to use it and to try to decide if they are financially strong to participate in the project and can support the pre-financing of the project, because as you well know, we are not giving any pre-financing. The program is based on principle of reimbursement, even though it can be that some countries can provide an advance from the national co-financing, but this has to be checked with the national contact points. The following questions. If a project partner receives co-financing from state funds, 15–18% out of the 20 required contribution, how it should be reflected in the application form? Should I answer, or Gusti, I think we are not hearing you.
Sorry. First of, I try to answer. I mean, actually, I already presented this, but I try to show it again. But my first question, what do you see? Do you see my screen, or do you see the Jems now?
Yes.
Great. So, as I, oops, now it's frozen. Just a second. So when on partner level, you define the budget, or the partner level, first you define the budget. And as I presented, on the partner, there is the last tab is about the co-financing. And here you select the Interreg funds. And I show an example also that in case the source of own contribution comes from different sources, then this is the default setting. There is there is the respective partner and the option for public or private. In case some part of the own contribution comes from all resources, plus there is the state contribution, then with the add new contribution origin button, you add it. You add who is the provider of the source of whichever ministry or whatever institution. And then here in the drop-down list, you can select the state and appropriately indicate how much comes from the state contribution, so for that additional funding source, and how much comes from the actual partner. And obviously, the sum of these shall match with this amount, which is the total partner contribution. So 4,000, 20,000 makes it. So that's how you can indicate in case the partner source comes from different sources.
Okay. Then, if the activities related to management are not included in the work plan, where do we include the costs related to management? For example, travel costs for meetings, etc.
Yeah, this I actually wanted to mention, but I forgot. Thank you for the question. Basically, just try to allocate throughout the whole project. So first of all, will be in the second phase, actually, we will be interested in how much management allocation the partners intend to have. but this is not yet to be described in the EOI phase. I will not go into details. All in all, now with planning, just plan your project partner budget so to include obviously the costs you will be needed for managing the project, and then spread it on the activities basically. So spread it on the specific objectives. And one other thing different from this, now it just came to my mind, but can also be important. So where in the work plan, it's clear that you have to create specific objectives, but I forgot to mention that maximum 3 specific objectives are expected. So one main objective, obviously, and then within the work plan, define maximum 3 specific objectives. And going back to the question once again, these management costs to be spread on the specific objectives of the different specific objectives.
And it is the same for the communication, because there is a question in chat I saw related.
Yes, but in a way it's somewhat clearer, since we expect that communication activities contributing to a certain specific objective shall be presented as activities, while we don't ask for the management. So there is a sort of difference, and that's why this might lead to confusion, but hopefully now it's clear.
So the following question is on the same direction. If the sum has the sum of the amounts in the activities to be the same as the total, no, it went away, sorry. Maybe the person deleted it. I didn't manage to read it.
Yeah, lost.
Okay, I lost it. Budget. Are there maximum amounts allocated either for individual cost categories or for the overall budget itself? No, it was said before, we do not have a maximum budget we give per project. The entire budget has to be justified by the activities.
Yeah, but regarding cost categories, for example, since the program is not focusing on investments or equipment, obviously a partner budget dominated by that kind of costs are not welcome. So that will be, how to say, negatively assessed.
Then is it eligible partner to be SME or startup entity? Because I see in the drop-down list.
Project partners can also be private entities, but here to be considered, and compared to the previous program period, there is also a difference here that not only from EU member states of the program area, but also meanwhile from the non-EU partner states of the Danube region, so also from Serbia, Moldova, and so on. But what shall be considered is that the involvement of private enterprises shall not be the tool to avoid public procurement. So there are plenty of services that will be needed for completing a project. But many of these can be gained on the market and actually expected to be gained from the market in order to avoid competition in this field. It's an important aspect. So in case a private enterprise is involved, then we will need a thorough justification of why that specific, what is that specific expertise and contribution that makes necessary that that specific private entity is taken on board instead of being subcontracted, or I mean, not that, but not selected through a public procurement. I don't know if there is any more to add from your side.
No.
No, good.
Then, in calculating the budget per activity, what kind of costs are we considering? Staff, investments, what else? Same logic as in work package budget calculation?
Yes, I mean, so when you are planning the project budget, that starts from partner level and in connection to the activities to be carried out. What activities are necessary, then accordingly, which partner has what kind of role in these, the overall implementation, and in connection to the different activities. So we also ask information on activity level. What is the role of the different partners in one or the other activity? And then accordingly, when elaborating a project partner budget, then please consider this. And this is not a matter of cost categories, but it's a matter of overall costs in connection to a certain activity. So it might be in one activity, it might be more staff cost intensive. In another activity, a certain partner is there to subcontract a certain service provider, then it's the external expertise. But it depends very much on the role and task of the partner, what kind of costs to be calculated there.
Okay, then the following one. Does 20% of the costs that provides agency that applies include, for example, agency's belongings like travel costs like car or so, or we just provide 20% fuel? I can answer that because it's a bit,
Good.
I understood.
I am
So,
not.
in kind, the principle of reimbursement means that the institution spends and then makes a request for reimbursement, and we reimburse 80%. 20% remains as an expenditure forever in the budget of the partner. Of course, there are national co-financing and so on, but we do not consider, it's not in the MAJS job to have this. So 20% you are not going to ever get reimbursed. So it means that if you paid for fuel or for staff costs or for external expertise, this money will be your expenditure. This is the principle. But you cannot bring in kind contribution to the projects like provide a car or a building. So this is not something that we are accepting. Okay. Then the following question. Do the allocated amounts to individual activities in section C4 need to reconcile to the overall budget? Yes. So it should be equal.
Otherwise, there is no much reason behind.
Yes.
I mean, if you indicate a certain budget for an activity, then we assume that the sums of the activities are adding up the total project budget. Otherwise, it wouldn't have any reason.
Then we have another one. Aggregated costs of activities have to be equal. Yes, it's the same question. The question is because the project management costs cannot be indicated in the work plan, but we said before that project management costs have to be included in all the activities and in the budget of each activity, or depends on how you are planning it. And then there is a question, can you repeat please the lump sum intended for the preparation?
As far as I saw, this comment comes for nearly half an hour ago, nearly 40 minutes ago. I think that I have already done, so I answered this.
Yes, and yes, for the following question, so the total 18,500 is the total preparation cost, and we are reimbursing 80% out of that. The rest is co-financing and can be reimbursed from state co-financing if it is given. Then can we implement and adjust pilot research that is already done in Bosnia, but on bigger example in this case for project number 3? I think that for these specific questions related to the content, you should address the project officer responsible for the topic and have a more in-depth discussion, because then it's here we don't understand the topic of the project, what it is about. So I would suggest that you check our website for the contact details and you address directly the person responsible for the topic itself. So another question, when will full application be available after this step for applications approved in this step?
Yes, because after all, that will be relevant for those applicants who will be invited over to take part in the second step phase.
About the SME, we'll answer that are eligible, not as lead partner. And another, I am registered at Jems for Interreg Med. Why can't I register on Jems for Interreg Danube with the same email?
I'm not aware that you would not be able, because this is a separate system. As I mentioned in the beginning, the core of the system is the same, but each program has its own kind of version. I'm not that much in the technical aspects of this, but I don't see a reason why with the same email address you would not be able to register in the Danube region program Jems.
Then there is a question that private agencies cannot be lead partner. Again, it's private enterprises, private profit-making organizations such as private enterprises. Private non-profit partners, agencies, can be lead partners. Then, again, about the budget of each activity, which we clarified that the amount should be included in the text section. Then the account was created on Jems, but after logging in, nothing is visible. Is Jems already available for EOI? Yes.
Yes, it's available since the call is open. Normally, what you would need to be, shall be able to see when entering with your valid registration is that one title with the I don't know if I have this. There might be a screenshot on that. Just a sec. I'm sorry for this quick page moving. Where is it? No, we don't have that screenshot. It's not much visible. So basically, when you enter the system, you enter the so-called dashboard of your page, and there basically what you would need to be able to see is the available calls, a list of calls, and obviously there is only one single call. Unfortunately, I cannot make it brighter. This yeah, no, it doesn't help, I'm sure. So in case you have problem, what I showed you, and I jump along in between pages, on the entry page, on the right upper corner, there is this question mark. Click on that, and there you see a link to a so-called Jems help desk. Please explain your problem in this, maybe also including attaching a print screen, and send us any sort of technical issues you might have, be it this blank page or whoever has some technical issues. This is the address, this is the email address where you can report your problems.
Okay. Then there is, what is an investment? in the project work plan? A sum of money or more?
Investments can be many different things. So that relates more of installing something or building something, which on the other hand is not that much in the scope of the program, although on a small scale basis, this can be accepted. I would recommend you to read carefully in details the applicant's manual, and maybe even better is there is another document on the eligibility of expenditures where there is a section explaining what can be considered relevant as investment.
Okay. Then second. In relation to all the questions about eligibility of partners or lead partners based on the legal status, we advise you to contact the national contact points because they are going to assess the eligibility of the lead partners and project partners. The reason why I'm saying is because we have some question that if we are a DO or if we can be lead partner. Please seek advice to your national contact points, and they can tell you if you are eligible or not. Then there is a question if it's possible to make any changes in the partner or budget on the second stage.
Yes, there is a possibility. Regarding changing partners or dropping partners, be careful that there is a limitation which is relates to maximum 4 financing partners. So ASP is not matter in this respect, but the financing partners does. So maximum 4 partners indicated in the EOI can be withdrawn or replaced. On the other hand, if you plan to extend the partnership and bringing in new partners, there is no limit, as well as those new partners doesn't count in this max 4 limitation.
There is a question about the deadlines for the EOI and second step. I have heard and read many different dates in Jems. It seems to be 18 November 2022 and 15 May 2023. Please check our website where the dates are clearly stated. Also in the call announcement, the deadline for submission of the expression of interest is 21st November. Until I will tell you also the hour, 2
o'clock in the afternoon.
The second step submission is just an estimation that we are providing it, and in Jems we have to put some dates. So it's not the deadlines are in the call announcement and on the website. So those are the actual deadlines.
And when you enter the Jems and you enter the project, there on the which page is this now? No, I'm out. I don't enter. So when you enter, there is the summary information of the project. The very first item you enter. There at the bottom of there, it's indicated what is the actual deadline for submitting that application that you are working on. It even counts the remaining days and hours.
And in Jems, actually, it is indicated that the end of the first step is 21st November. So, yeah. Yes. Another question is if budget changes are between EOI and the second stage are possible. As we said before, yes. So I think we answered this question.
Not specifically to this question, but then these limitations in between the first and second step. Now we mentioned this limitation on dropping partners. There are also 2 more limitations. One relates to the lead applicant. So the lead applicant cannot be changed and replaced this is also very important, and this is also an eligibility criteria in the second phase. Another one is the intervention logic of the project. So the objectives, outputs, results also cannot be changed. The only exception for this, in case with the invitation for the second phase, there might be some recommendation from the program side how to improve the project intervention logic. And accordingly, of course, then that can be modified. But in general, this is also an eligibility criteria for the second phase, that the original project intervention logic is not expected to be modified.
Yes. And there is the question, to answer the question, there are no limits for budget change, but of course they have to be reasonable. I mean, you cannot increase for 10 million euro. Then
Yeah,
there's the last question. Yeah. Will there be an option for a flat rate for staff and travel costs at the second step? We are working on it now. We have some things to clarify with the European Commission, but before the second step, we will publish all the options for the simplified cost options that the program will offer to the applicants for detailing the budget. But still, we are having some clarifications. I think these were all the questions. And for sure, there is no more here on the slide, though.
Then thank you for your attention. Hopefully you have more thorough knowledge and understanding of the system, how you can, at least from technical point, create and prepare and submit your application. We actually touched also several content issues as well, limitations and financial and thematic points. So we hope that by this you gain lots of information. Once again, to repeat, this webinar is recorded and will be soon available also to be checked once again, or for those who were not able to be here, follow it at a later stage. Thank you from my side.
Thank you. And see you in the afternoon for the ones who come in the afternoon.
And of course, good luck and all the best for your project preparation. Bye-bye.
Bye.